Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely.
And your host Hayden.
And today we have a special guest, and it's, drumroll please, Evan!
Hello.
Here he is.
We have The Witch, a 2015 movie, rated R. It is an hour and 32 minutes. It has a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. For the people who don't know what it is about, a family in the 1630s New England is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession.
And now he can read last week's question for us.
The 1972 version of The Last House on the Left was a directorial debut for which director?
And for the people that didn't Google it,
Jujel.
go ahead and read the answer.
Wes Craven.
So,
Yeah.
Congratulations to people that knew that.
And we also gave a hint in the last episode, so... I don't
We
know,
also don't know if anybody Googles the answers. We just say that to
Yeah,
mess with people.
it's
So.
whatever.
I actually did not know that one.
I didn't either.
I
And
only knew it because I had the answer right in front of me.
Well, we're going to read the next question later, obviously. Sis, do you have anything you want to say before we get into our guest episode?
I've never watched this movie before this. Pretty disturbing.
Just a couple scenes.
It was kind of a hard watch for me, because the fucking time that it's based on, it's like so old. I have a hard time like
1630s. So.
getting into the 1630s. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, oh my god.
Definitely suggest watching it with subtitles.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
need subtitles. Because at first I was like, what the hell are they saying, man?
That's how people spoke.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't live in that time period.
I mean, if you were born in that time period,
Nah.
you could live in that time period.
No.
Because that's what you had to do.
No.
But if you went back in time, you'd probably die in the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, because they had to raise that whole house and that whole farm just with like the 5 of them or 4 of them.
Not me. I would have ran away.
She'd be going back and swearing words that no one's ever even heard of before.
Like,
she'd
"What
be
is
the she'd be the inventor of
I'll
everything.
rejoin the church. Just let me have heat.
Literally. Please,
Yes.
please. Accept me. But yeah, no. It was good. Just
I mean, I
Yeah,
certainly think
intense.
6.9 is too low.
It had a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I know this is like a cult classic.
Very true. I don't often trust Rotten Tomatoes. Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes. Not that you're listening, but half the
What if they
time
were?
they're right about movies that are, or wrong about movies that are like really good, and they're like, no, this movie sucks. I'm like, no, it didn't.
wait.
It's always comic book movies too. They're always like, this was a terrible movie. I was like, it's almost exactly like the comic book. So I don't know what the hell you're thinking was so bad.
How does Rotten Tomatoes work?
You have critics that give a score, and then you have an audience that gives a score.
Yeah, but like 90% Rotten Tomatoes. That means it's
Certified
Yeah.
fresh.
What the hell does that mean?
That means it's a fresh tomato. It means it's a good movie.
Okay.
But
Okay, I got it.
The audience score is almost always higher than the Rotten Tomato score.
Yeah.
They never
Match.
Hardly ever do they match. Shawshank Redemption, they're pretty close. And I think that's the only movie that the Rotten Tomato score was higher than the audience score, which I don't know how because it's an amazing movie, but
I don't ever look at Rotten Tomatoes.
I trust IMDb because that's solely people on IMDb that give the reviews.
Not the
Not
app.
critics, yeah. Not the app, no.
Okay.
They just post what they think.
Okay.
Well, that's all I wanted to say. What do you want to talk about first, Evan?
This was just my first introduction with A24 Production. I don't know if
I
our
love
listener- if
A24.
our listeners know about that production group, but they've kind of taken over horror movies, I feel like.
Recently, they've had a big run of good movies. There was the one with Kid Cudi in it.
Don't Look Up.
There was
Just
that
Look
one.
Up?
No,
Which
it's
one is
Don't
it?
Look Up, but he was in that one. But the horror movie that he
Kid
was
Cudi in a horror movie?
Yeah, Kid Cudi was in a horror movie.
in.
And I haven't
X or
seen
something. Was it X?
Oh, and they go to like the farm.
The cabin with
yeah.
the old people.
They're, like,
Yeah,
shooting like a porno.
yeah.
Oh,
that
I
one.
haven't
I
seen
didn't
that
watch
one
it,
yet.
but I know I saw clips of that.
I wanna see it. I mean, because
It looks
Kid
pretty
Cudi's
good.
in it, so
They
why
did
wouldn't
Hereditary. That's a great movie.
Hereditary, exactly. Like they
That
have
one,
right now, they have like a strong.
If there's an A24 production, I'm gonna watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're-
They
As
know
soon
how
as
to
I saw
freak you out.
A24, I was like, this is gonna be good. Doesn't matter what it is, it's
I
gonna be
didn't
good.
catch that. I was just like, okay.
The
Let's get into it.
A24.
Nah, I didn't even connect the dots. You know what I mean?
And this was Anna Taylor's first film debut.
Yeah,
And she's kind of blown up as a movie star.
Yeah, for sure.
Peaky Blinders. She was in.
That's where she's from.
Queen's Gambit.
I didn't watch it.
Yep,
I knew she.
I
knew what
didn't
that
watch
was.
it, but I frequent Netflix a lot, and I skimmed over it. You know what I mean? So
Fair
yeah, I
enough.
recognized her. I didn't realize that was her first movie though. Cool. Good to know. All right. Go ahead. Anything else?
Not really.
Let's get into it.
All right, what? Why did you pick this movie for?
This was on a short list of movies that just like kind of shocked me. I feel like when watching this, it was definitely I do like timepieces, and this definitely makes you feel like you're in 1630s before anything in this country happened, and definitely adds some eeriness to it when they start fixating on the woods, and the end of the movie really resonated with me. That left a lot to the imagination on what was going on.
It had a similar feel. The ending had a similar feel as to Midsummer.
Yeah,
It's kind of like an open-ended sort of ending, because like in Midsummer, the ending is supposed to let you figure out if she goes back home or she stays with the tribe or what happens. And then this one, the end is like, did she actually become a witch? Did she?
And it's almost like she was accepted. Like you
Yeah.
see her like kind of break down and start laughing. Like
Right.
she had been foreshadowing that she was like this evil person, even though she was messing around. But then her family turned out to like be evil to her.
Right.
And then these
And then
people
she
are
turned evil.
yeah, and these people are accepting her in
Right.
the creepiest
So
way possible.
it's definitely
Kind of nice.
it's definitely an ending that, like you said, sticks with you, because it's not like you don't really forget that ending. I mean, the way she's like floating in the air, and it's
That
like,
was. That's freaky. That was freaky.
just
I was
Black
like
Black Phillip
side-eyeing
in
the
general.
screen. I was like,
what's gonna happen? It
What
also
is this?
it also makes you think like something's about to happen. Like she starts rising in the air, and you think like, oh, I don't know, something's about to jump out, or we're gonna see it, and it's just end. I was like, oh,
oh, okay.
That's the one thing this movie did good, was there wasn't really jump scares.
Mhm.
They saved the one for when Black Phillip
Yeah.
killed William,
yeah,
and you just like been waiting the whole movie for it, and then it just all of a sudden hits you like the last act, and you're
yeah. It was just like out of nowhere. He did, and I like the way that. We'll get into that, I guess. But we'll get into that
Yeah,
in a
we're
minute.
going out of order.
Yeah, we're
Let's
getting
start
out of
at the
order a
top.
little bit, but you keep going. Go ahead.
Now I kind of lost my train of thought.
I think it was funny how they kept calling him Black Phillip. Like, I just.
That was
Well,
the best. That was the best name.
I mean, that is the devil's.
I didn't know that. I
One
was like,
of
who
the
is
devil's
this
names, Black
Phillip?
Phillip.
And it's
Oh,
because
I
he's
didn't
a
know that.
black goat? Is that what they're saying?
Well,
Black
they say
Phillip?
that the black goat is the devil, like on Earth or whatever. They say like
Oh,
they
okay,
say
okay.
they involve like goats with
Yeah,
like
I knew that, but
like
I thought
sacrifices and stuff, and then a black goat is the devil himself.
maybe. Okay.
He
Because I
manifests
thought
as
they
a
were
goat
just
and
named
stuff.
him Philip, and then they couldn't like keep track, and they were just like the black one, Black Phillip. You
No,
know what
that's
I mean?
that's one of his
like
names.
Hangover, Black
Yeah.
Doug. That's what I.
Yeah,
That's what I thought of.
Black Doug.
Did you think that the devil was also the rabbit?
Yeah, like they had a lot of emphasis on the rabbit. I obviously didn't know at the time. You find out later what the rabbit was, but it's like they focused so much on the rabbit, and like why did the gun backfire just at that precise moment with the like there was a lot of shit that was like, why did that happen? So I definitely thought that the rabbit was weird in some way,
Something's up with that rabbit.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Have anything else you want to talk about? Well, I have a few things written down that I really liked about this movie, and we're going to kind of do it a little bit different. We'll just say everything that we liked about the movie, because it seems every time we have a guest and we start talking about the scenes, we end up getting to a scene and it was like, oh yeah, I really like this about the movie, and then so we'll just talk about what we liked first. I liked that the outfits and the buildings, like the scenery looked like, you know, the 1600s, because they had like the little bonnet thing, and like they were all wearing like the old, I guess, colonial, I guess you would call
Kind of
it.
like the single piece gowns.
Yeah,
some,
like
layers.
I thought it looked, as far as the aesthetic goes, it looked very accurate to the time period it was in. I feel like their use of music to make you feel like uneasy, it was kind of similar. What movie did I say it was? Was it Insidious or something? There was, no, I think it was Annabelle. The way that they had the music in the movie was kind of making me sick a little bit. It's like, I think it was supposed to do that.
Like Jaws.
Yeah, it's supposed to, you know, make you feel,
In my
get
notes,
your anxiety
I
up.
did put creepy music and exclamation
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, it definitely makes you
Creepy.
feel like
It sets
weird.
it sets the scene.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
oh, something's going on.
Like it's I think it's an A24 thing. They do that in every movie, that they know how to set up their scenes so well. I mean, I know A24 didn't have like direct involvement in the movie or anything, but like it seems like every time A24 has a movie, or it's like the Conjuring universe or something, it's like they know how to use the music to make you feel something, which I always like that about a movie. The use of their shots and imagery to also make you feel uneasy. Like, I have written further down somewhere about the wide shots. They're always so well placed. Like, I'll talk about the imagery and stuff. Like, some, or maybe I even wrote that separately too, but there was, oh yeah, the lighting even changes the feeling. Like, there are scenes that are like really dark and you're supposed to feel like darkness and sadness and stuff, and like the way they have the camera aimed at like the forest to make you feel creepy, and like there was one shot of the house with like one candle inside, and it was like, and to me it kind of symbolized like there's one light left, and that was the daughter, because everyone else was already screwed up by the witch and Black Phillip and stuff. But I really like the way that they use those to make you feel what you felt about the movie, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Yeah. I feel like the sadness is extremely heavy after the baby was taken, obviously, but it was like very evident in the movie. Like, everyone felt upset about it. It wasn't just like one character, because there's a lot of movies that like someone dies and then there's like one character that takes it really, really hard, and then like everyone else is just kind of upset about it. There was definitely, the whole family was definitely like depressed and sad, and
especially Thomason, but her mom just did not give
hated
up.
her.
Not good shit.
Yeah,
I
did
have
not give up.
that written down too. Like, the mom, I don't necessarily like it, but like I like how they drove home the fact that she has a grudge on the daughter. Or like how they showed it, because we knew that she had a grudge on her, and it was just like the way she was treating her. It's like make it very evident that she was already in a less godly mind space, I guess you could say. She's already turned, because I mean, I also had written that the religion is very heavy in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But like, when you're a religious person, especially in those times, you're supposed to be kind to one another, and you know, you're not supposed to hate your family or wish death on your kids or anything like that. So it's kind of like she's already turned away from the religion aspect of it.
I feel like they wanted a boy for their first child by naming her
Totally.
Thomason. That's
Yeah,
kind of like,
yeah, I get what you mean there.
that she's like been resentful ever since. Like, I was supposed to produce a boy, not you. Like,
It definitely seemed like a weird name.
Yeah, it
to
wasn't
me.
very girly.
I was like,
Because for a minute I thought they were yelling when they were yelling for
Caleb.
Thomason. I was like, oh, it's the boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's not. It's the girl.
It's definitely... I didn't really even think of that way. I definitely thought it was a weird name for a girl, but I didn't think about it in depth of, like, they wanted a boy. I don't know why I skipped over that. That's a good point, though, because I didn't think of it that way. I like the use of the emotion to dictate scenes, whether... Because there's like, very little happy moments in this movie. Mm-hmm. One of them is when Thomason and Caleb are in the woods, right before they end up getting sad again because Caleb gets taken. Like, they draw a lot from, well, I guess, the actor's emotion to dictate the scene, because if they're happy, you're kind of... Because when they're laughing and playing with each other on the horse and walking through the woods, you kind of feel a little happy. Then immediately, you know, the horse gets upset and Caleb chases after the dog, and of course Cicely was upset because the dog died. I mean, everyone should have been, but...
I thought Alex was going to stop watching after that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Actually,
I looked away.
My first thought was like, oh, Cicely's going to hate this scene.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like it either, because I love animals too, but...
I was like, no! The dog starts running, and they're yelling his name. I was like, oh my god.
She's definitely one that would quit watching the movie because the dog died.
Yeah, I was like, if this was her podcast...
I would be done.
I would have clicked off already.
I just like how... You know, Thomason was upset and depressed, so the scene was very dark and gloomy. And the mom was pissed off, so it was like kind of like... The lighting wasn't bright and happy, it was like kind of gray. When the mother was pissed off, it was like always gray.
It did feel like it was always like overcast.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie.
The whole movie was
had
raining.
A cloud over top of it.
Yeah.
The one thing I did like was the pace of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's an hour and a half. Like, I thought that that's like the perfect time. Like 80 to 90 minutes is like the perfect movie.
That's what I thought too when I clicked on it and I saw an hour and a half. I was like, nice.
Yeah, and it just like continue. I mean, there's some heavy monologues where you're just like, oh, all right, let's get through this. But for the most part, it's just like boom, like stuff just is continuously happening on top of another.
I think the monologue part you were speaking to was more of like, we didn't really... It's like for me when people speak in a different language and they don't have subtitles, kind of like Midsummer when they speak in Swedish, you're not supposed to really know. I'm like, all right, can we just, kind of get through it, because I want to know. I want to go back to know. And I think a lot of people don't know anything about, like, old speak. Like, I knew what V meant and, certain words,
you
but
get the gist of it for the most part. But
I don't think Cicely knew any of the words, period.
Shut up.
Did you?
No. But
exactly. So, like, I could imagine...
They're making the sentences...
Come hither.
Backwards. I was like...
So, looking through her eyes watching the movie, it's like, okay, I don't know what the hell they're saying. Can we go back to something I know what they're saying? So
I mean, I got the gist, but I was just like, okay.
But that's kind of what I like, is like movies that stay true to like what they're actually portraying. Mm-hmm. Like, I hate a movie that it's like in Russian and they're speaking English. It's like, no, like Russians wouldn't speak English to each other. Like,
they definitely kept it to where to the movie that they were doing, And it seems like, like I said, it might drag out a little bit longer if you don't know what they're saying, but like, it was true to, like I said, it was pretty accurate as far as
the time period
and stuff. I also like how it showed how everyone seems to have some sort of regret, because Thomason feels regret because she thinks that she's the one that lost the baby, if you can say that. All she was doing was playing
peekaboo,
and then all of a sudden it was gone, which I shit my pants when that happened. She's playing with the baby, and then all of a sudden her face changes. Like, oh no, don't tell me someone took the baby right from in front of you, and then all of a sudden the baby was gone. I was like, what the fuck? What just happened? And
then it cuts to like the witch just like preparing the baby. You're like, whoa,
this is weird.
Like, this is getting intense, and that's like 20 minutes into the movie. Not even.
I know. Immediately they were like, nope, we're gonna.
This is dinner tonight.
We hate you.
This isn't the Blair Witch. You're gonna see everything right up front.
That was,
I guess.
That was intense.
I don't think I wrote it down. If I did, well, I'll just read it and I'll just tell you. But I guess the lady who did the witch had a really tough time doing that scene because it like made her really upset. I mean,
Yeah.
that's understandable.
Cooking up a baby for
you're
dinner.
pretending to cook up a baby. That seems like it's a pretty hard scene to me.
She did a good job. It was
She
very
definitely
She
did.
was very uncomfortable to watch.
Her witch name in the movie, I didn't write this down. I just remember reading it. It was Bathsheba.
Oh,
The actresses
isn't that something else?
that was in The Conjuring. That was the
Yep.
demon was Bathsheba. But the actress's real name is Bathsheba.
What?
Yeah,
No way.
it's kind of cool.
Imagine having that name. And in every movie, you're just a demon. Shit.
Yeah, Jesus, why do I get
Yeah.
named Bathsheba? Every demon
That's
is named
insane.
Bathsheba. I like how they showed the father as very caring of his family, because even when he thought Thomason was the witch that was doing all this, he still, comforted her. Not necessarily believed her, but he was just like, "It's okay. I just need you to tell me so we can get past this."
And
Blah blah blah.
and you can be saved. Like you
Exactly,
can still
like-
be saved if you repent. Like
The mother instantly held a grudge toward her daughter, and the father was always caring and compassionate to all the kids, even if the twins were being assholes. And he thought, because back in those times, if they were still in that village and they thought Thomason was a witch, they probably would have killed her right there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have asked her. There was no trial, because this was right before the Salem witch trials, and that would have just been dead right then and there. No questions asked.
that's what I like. They kind of mimicked how the trials, the Salem witch trials, with like the twins like faking
Yeah,
that something's wrong and like saying that she's the witch and pretending and everything. Like
that's how a
why
lot
she
of
got so defensive so fast. 'cause-
that's why a lot of witches, women got killed as witches, because they would, I guess, priests or whatever, whoever was in charge of the village would go around and like, she's a witch, and then make something up, and then everyone would believe him because he's the leader of the village, or whatever you want to call it. So
yeah, and her dad didn't think that she was the witch until that apple came out of Caleb, and you're just like, oh, and he
He's
just
witched.
yeah, he just looks at her and just like, get down.
I was like, oh,
yeah, that
shit.
was
And I thought that scene was great because they kept talking about how they hadn't had apples since England and everything, and then he
all of a
just,
sudden,
just like regurgitates
Yeah.
a rotten
Full apple.
You're just like, oh my god.
Like, what is that? At first I thought it was like one of his like organs.
That's what I thought too.
And I was like, an apple? What the hell?
the last two things that I want to talk about before we delve a little deeper into the movie was that the witch was actually like terrifying to the little boy. She was this younger, attractive woman, and then all of a sudden she wasn't. That was one of the other jump scares too, because it was like you weren't expecting this old lady hand to
jump
grab him by
scare.
the head.
That was like reminded me of The Shining
Yeah,
when you have like the pretty woman in the room, and then all of a
Oh
sudden
yeah.
like
She
it
turns
cuts to
into
like
a
that's one of the
decomposing
that's one
old
of
woman.
the fear facts that I've written down, was that they mirrored The Shining of having the attractive woman, then all of a sudden she wasn't very attractive anymore.
and I felt like they used like imagery with like Red Riding
Yeah.
Hood,
Yeah.
like the big bad wolf. Like she comes out with like the red cape, and you're like, oh shit, she's a witch. Like don't go near her. Like,
I see that now that you say that. That was a good point too. I didn't think of that either when I saw it, but that was now I'm like replaying the scene in my head. I was like, yeah, that's totally. He should have ran the other way, but Hansel and Gretel kept going through the woods,
but he was a horny little child. That,
Yeah.
staring at his sister's
oh,
tits.
that freaked out Alex. She's like, what's going on right now?
What's happening?
And the mother used that as like something to be mad at the daughter about.
That
She
she
was
was-
like, it's your fault. No, he's just being weird about it. Like, it's not her fault
Yeah,
necessarily.
I've seen his eyes. It's like, well, you should say something.
Like, to
Yeah.
him, not her. It's not her fault. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, woman? But I feel that the suspense in this movie was very well timed. Like, the suspense was properly put into the movie. There wasn't too much of it. There wasn't too little of it. And it was well thought out, and it wasn't, like, drug on. So, like, I hate whenever something happens and, like, the suspense is for, like, the next 20 minutes of the movie. I'm just like, I want to know what happens. Can we just get to that part, please? And then it was, like, 2 minutes you found out what happened. I was like, Jesus, like, I felt like the suspense of the movie was so well done as well.
Yeah, they would, like, something would happen, and, like, it would happen right in that scene, and then it would cut to, like, the next scene, and then it's like, and they're just like, oh, well, like, now we're going on with our life, and then, like, something else is about to happen to them, and, yeah, they just kept going through the acts, and
it was just like one thing after another, after another, after that. It just wouldn't stop.
It's like, come on, man, there is a witch out there.
We can start talking about the movie scenes in, I guess, order this time instead of just out of order. Right in the beginning, you immediately see, like, them getting kicked out of their village, or whatever you want to call it. And it's obvious that Thomason was very affected by it because she didn't, exactly know what they were going to do. And it's obvious that that was their downfall. Getting kicked out of the village ended up pushing them towards the witch, and eventually all of them dying and her turning into a witch herself. It seemed like that he was very faithful. It was just that they didn't agree with him and his version of it. Even though, technically religion is, up for each person's interpretation. There's no one exact right answer to it. It's just you read what was said and you interpret it for yourself. So that's kind of what he did, and it was different than everyone else in the village, so they kicked him out, which happened a lot. You didn't agree with them or didn't want to do something. It was like, all right, go ahead. You're out of the village now. We ain't feeding you anymore. You can never come back. It's like a big thing. And like we said earlier, the Salem witch trials and stuff. What did you guys think about that very opening?
Yeah, that was, he talks about how, like, they left England for this same reason and why he's, like, getting upset with them. Like, we left so we could practice our religion, and now you're kicking me out for practicing, like, my part in the religion. And just that. But they weren't having it. It seemed like.
Apparently. It kicked them out pretty fast.
Yeah,
like,
with not even a trial. Like, that's the thing that I wish they would have, like, delved in more of, just, like, what did they do to just get thrown out? Like, it's got to be a big thing to do to get thrown out of a community.
I mean, the only thing they really said was that they said that they didn't agree. It's not like they said, oh, you don't agree because you said this or something, It was more of like, what do you, as the viewer, think that they did based on this very little context? I kind of like that aspect about it.
Yeah, I thought it, they didn't explain much, but do you think maybe that led into why all this bad stuff happened to him?
Maybe the family was turning away from religion at that point because they saw, like, the village kicked them out because of religious differences, maybe.
Well, he seems pretty, like, hardcore religious. So
yeah.
maybe they weren't doing it the correct way in his eyes, and he thought that... Because when he's telling to Caleb about how all humans are, like, have sinned and, like, have to, like, give that up and overcome it, and that whole speech while they're hunting. Mm-hmm. Like, he goes through this whole thing on, like, why they're doing what they do.
Yeah, I just thought maybe because it's not explained, we have to figure it out for ourselves, and then it leads to all this crazy shit happening to him.
It definitely was leading them into being affected so much by the witch, I think. Mm-hmm. They turned a little bit more away from
it definitely
the
didn't
religion.
Help.
Yeah, it definitely didn't help, for sure.
And the one thing I want to know is, like, where did they get Black Phillip? Like, did they bring him with them?
Yeah, where did they get this guy? Did they, like, buy him from the witch?
It was, like, immediately after they get kicked out, they had, like, this house.
This settlement. Well, they say that it's been, like, a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he's under the tree with Thomason, he's like, do you remember when this had such a beautiful bloom? Like...
Right, yeah.
So, but... I like when they first show the land that they're going to settle, and they just, like, zoom in on the woods, and you're like, oh, like, this is obviously a horrible spot to pick. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you should have gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of know why they picked right there. Like, why was it that specific spot? Why not, closer to the village, further away to the village? Why didn't they go back to England? Which, obviously, they said they
Catherine wanted to go back to
Yeah.
England.
Why didn't they do that? But
Yeah, because he said it was a day's ride from where they were.
yeah, like they were so far away.
And they were near a stream, so I guess they just kept staying near there, and so they at least had that resource.
I guess the next scene would have been them on the farm, and they're like, well, not necessarily on the farm, but wasn't it the next scene was those two in the woods, right? They were hunting.
They were hunting, and he was explaining to him that that the crops are rotting, and that they've got to hunt for the winter to feed them.
And he was telling him how he sold the cup for the traps, and I thought that was a really nice bonding scene for father and son. It was a really nice scene to see them kind of have that moment where the kid's weak and he's asking, like, tell me why. And he's just, like, trying to explain to him, like, kind of have faith in me a little bit. You kind of have to trust me. It wasn't so much as just, like, he had every answer, so much as, like, just trust me. I think I can do it, kind of thing. I thought it was a really nice scene. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I think it kind of explains. He kind of explains like the unknown of religion. Like you have to have
faith.
Yeah, especially at a time like then. Like there's no answers. Still no answers. But back then, you at least had something to kind of like clutch onto whenever shit got bad.
And then it goes into that scene where they see the rabbit. So they're kind of... Caleb knows what he's doing. He knows he has to give him the firing rope, or I forget what it was called. But he has to, help him get ready to shoot because, I mean, obviously guns back then weren't very easy to shoot. So they're, like, doing this whole process hoping that their maybe dinner isn't going to run away. And it emphasizes that rabbit. That was the first time you see the rabbit, and the first time that they're like, this rabbit is important for some reason. Because it's not so much as like, a normal scene with a rabbit. They'll have the camera on it. And it's like walking around and, nibbling at the grass. Yeah. This one sat and stared at him.
But taunting them.
Exactly. They were like, please shoot me. I dare you. And
Me if I was a rabbit.
I thought that was kind of if you didn't find too much creepy yet, that was the very first kind of creepy scene. At least made you feel creepy a little bit because you're just looking at this rabbit staring back at you. And like the eyes of the rabbit were really weird. Did you think that?
I don't remember.
They were kind of like golden.
Okay.
They kind of looked like human eyes almost. Because
like a human stuck inside a rabbit's body.
Well, as part of the religion stuff, what they believed about witches is they used hares as like a spy. They would turn into a hare, and they would go spy on people to see what
cool.
they. So
okay, so that's the witch then.
That's the witch. Yeah. The witch is that hare. From
she was
context.
Just watching.
Yeah, she was just watching. She was taunting them to shoot her so that she could make the gun backfire and start this whole thing, or at least have a reason to go after them so much because. Oh, look, they tried to shoot me, so I'm going to go and kill them all.
Eat them.
I'm going to just return the favor, except actually do it. I feel like that was... It wasn't like... The whole movie is kind of eerie and dark, but like that was the very first scene that kind of made me feel weird about it. It's like, okay.
I really thought the bear trap was going to come back into play. When he set the trap,
I thought that maybe one of them
like,
were
someone's going to step in that.
I actually thought the dog accidentally stepped in it at first when it was screaming and whining. I thought the bear trap got its leg or something.
But I didn't watch that.
But I guess that sends out Caleb later.
Yeah.
To go look for the bear trap.
So. And they seem to put emphasis on them calling the dog back. He whistled and yelled a name and it came back pretty quickly. But Caleb can't whistle like that. So that's kind of another... It seemed like they were making emphasis on that the dad whistled. And he did it a couple times. to show like
Even the subtitle said attempted whistle.
yeah, exactly,
Attempted
yeah,
whistle.
That just stuck with me when I read that.
exactly.
He
like
tried.
he tried, and it showed that the dad can do it, and the dog knows the whistle, but the kid couldn't, so the dog didn't come back, kind of thing. But the next scene, it was they were back at the farm, and the Thomason was supposed to wash the clothes, and she was having a fight with her mom because she's holding a grudge on her. I feel like there's a very tense relationship between everyone at this point, because obviously the mom wants to go back to England. The daughter just wants her mom to love her again. The son, wants to understand why everything is happening that way. The kids are just being kids, and the dad's just trying. Like the dad was like very caring and loving in this movie, and he was just trying to provide for.
He was
his...
my favorite character.
Exactly, like he was.
Like you felt bad, like all this stuff's happened to him, and he's just like, I'm just trying to provide for my family.
I just want food for my whole family. Yeah. I don't want any of them to die, and that's it. Like I don't care about anything else. That's it. And then all this bad shit just keeps happening to him. And he keeps making it seem like it's his fault, or he keeps feeling like it's his fault. But I feel like that was kind of like a eye-opening scene too. It was more of like this family's kind of fucked up.
Kind of fucked up. There's some shit going on with these guys.
And then they're down by the river, and it's the first I'm the Witch of the Wood thing, and it's the first mention of the witch, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. And then she kind of foreshadows, and she says, "I'll dance in the woods naked."
Like I signed the book and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
which
she did exactly
happen.
what she needed to do to become a witch, and you're just like what?
Yeah, like it. I see that sense of foreshadowing now. I guess that was a lot more important than I thought it was. But
yeah, she pretty much spelled out the movie, like right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, she was just trying to scare her, the sister, but like.
I mean.
Which rightfully so. Those twins sucked.
Yeah,
they were awful to Caleb and Thomason.
Yeah.
They weren't very good.
Every scene with them, I was like, oh my god.
Why are they being such assholes?
I was like, come on, guys.
Then the next scene that I want to talk about would have been Thomason and Caleb out in the woods. They're, like I said earlier, they were having a good time.
Yeah. It looked kind of sweet.
Yeah, they were, do you remember this? And no, I don't remember that. Well, this is what happened. And then they were having a good time when all of a sudden shit hit the fan, basically. They saw that stupid rabbit again. And then they did almost the exact same scene. It was staring at them, taunting them. And, of course, all it needed to do was get the dog to go, and it would, scare the horse and have Caleb run off. And that's the attempted whistle part. Because it was obvious that he was trying to whistle because that's what the dog knew. And its name, obviously, but it knew the whistle. If it heard the whistle and then heard its name, it's supposed to come back. So there was no getting the dog back because he couldn't whistle. It seemed like it gave us a sense of urgency at that moment. It was like maybe they shouldn't have went off on their own. Why did they go off on their own?
Thomason wanted to. Well, Thomason was forced to go because Caleb was going to wake up the parents, and she didn't want to deal with their shit. But he was going to the trap to see if they caught anything because he's trying to help out the family.
Right. Okay, I forgot about that.
And then and she tagged along just to kind of look after him and not be near the mom, which is understandable.
Yeah, she was an asshole.
My least favorite character.
She was so mean. The
awful.
Actress was awesome. She did a really good job, but man, that mom hated her daughter. Which I get it. Did. She lost the baby from her eyes, but I don't know. It seems a little exaggerated.
I just feel bad because, this didn't happen, but she was probably like, I was just playing peekaboo. And then
Yeah.
it was gone. Like, we saw it. She didn't do anything.
No.
She
But the
also
mom thought so.
thought she stole the silver cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She blamed her without any evidence whatsoever, other than her touching it, probably washing it. Not so much
Yeah.
just playing with it, just washing it. The next scene was like Caleb was lost, so he was taken by the witch.
Mhm.
I want to talk about that scene. We touched on it a little bit earlier. It was, now that I can see it now, the Little Red Riding Hood thing is like, it seemed like the witch was making her appearance obviously more attractive to kind of lure in the boy to make it seem like this innocent woman. And obviously he's that age of like, you know, puberty and stuff, so
Yeah.
that's kind of a double lose for him because he you know what I mean, he can't really control his urge to be curious.
To mate.
I wasn't going there, but okay.
Okay.
He couldn't control his urge to be kind of curious about this woman who he thought at the moment was attractive and stuff. And I mean, like, he's looking at his sister, the only other, you know, woman near his age that isn't, you know, the little
yeah.
twin. So rightfully he was kind of a little more trusting towards her than he probably should have been in
Yeah.
hindsight. But what did you guys think of that?
I don't know. I felt really bad for Caleb.
Me too.
Like,
it seemed like he
just-
got a bad rap the whole movie. And he was
Yeah.
also just trying.
I just felt really bad for him, like, the whole movie. And that scene where he's, like, you know, they're in the cabin and all that shit happens with him. And the mom's, like they're all yelling at each other and accusing each other. And I'm like, oh,
I feel bad for
Caleb.
this kid.
he's just a little guy. You know?
That's a little guy.
He's just worried that if his brother's in hell or not,
Yeah.
because he wasn't baptized.
Yeah.
That has to be harsh, like, not understanding for that kid. He's just seeing his family fight with each other and hate each other, and then he's worried about, you know, his little brother who hasn't done anything going to hell because he wasn't baptized. And like, that has to be
That
hard for
sucks.
him.
I felt bad for him, like, the whole movie.
Like, he's already confused about everything, about his emotions and,
Uh-huh.
you know, growing up and all this other stuff, and he just wants to try like his father, and he cares about his, you know, family too, but obviously he can't do quite the things that his dad can do, obviously. So yeah, I felt bad for him too. And then there's a scene where he gets found by Thomason. One of the other reasons they think that she's a witch,
Mhm.
for some reason, because, you know, because he disappeared on her watch, the baby disappeared on her watch, she found him. Thing is, they used who found him as like a reason why
Yeah.
she's a witch. Why would she take him, do something to him, and then just be like, oh look, I found him?
Yeah.
Like, she probably would have just killed him. She
Just-
probably wouldn't have brought him back.
To, like, accuse her.
Yeah,
like,
that
so
was
they could
kind of
accuse her of
strange.
doing it.
It was very obvious that the family pushed her to being a witch more so than her actually wanting to be one.
Yeah, I think the whole movie, they're like, she's a witch, and she's like, literally, I'm not a witch.
I'm not, but now I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you keep pushing me, and
You
now
know
I'm
what?
gonna
Keep
become
saying
one.
it.
Yeah.
Keep saying it. I'm gonna go do it.
She's also in that rebellious age too.
Yeah.
Like she was like a teenager, I think, right?
Yeah,
Like
'cause
16
she
or
was
so?
like, yeah, she was right around that age because the mom even mentioned about like giving her away to a family.
Right. So she
Oh,
had to
shit.
be like 16ish
Yeah.
or so, something like that. And so she's already in that rebellious age of like,
You know
I'm
what?
gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
So
You know what? Now that you say that, I'm gonna go be a witch.
yeah, now
That's
that
what I
you
would
accused
say.
me 5,000 times, I will be one. Then there's the scene where he's laying in basically a coma. That was a pretty rough scene to watch.
That was rough. All the shit he was saying, and then the twins accusing her, and then the dad flipping out, and then
And
the
then the twins
mom-
pretending like they're being
Yes.
cursed.
And then the mom was like flipping out on her. That was intense.
It was obvious that the mom had an easy time accusing Thomason
Oh, yeah.
of everything. But like, it kind of seemed like the twins were exaggerating a little bit.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh, like I can't remember the scripture. Like,
Yeah.
Like, come on.
They're like, I don't know it. And he's like, come on, yes you do. They're like, no, we don't. I forgot. I was like, oh my god.
Pretty sure I might have wrote it down, but like they said that witches couldn't say the full Lord's Prayer.
Well, that's what I thought when she started saying it. Because I was like, look, she's saying it. She's literally...
Well, witches can't finish the whole thing.
They should have just made her finish it.
But the thing is, she was accusing the twins of being witches, and they couldn't even start it. They said they couldn't remember any of it. So, them still blaming Thomason kind of seemed weird because...
She was saying it, they weren't.
She at least started it, and they didn't remember any of it. So, you might want to believe Thomason a little more than you are right now.
well, and that's even like the dad was like I need evidence before I'm gonna. Like he was the one that's actually being like rational about the whole thing. He's like, all right, like maybe there is a witch, but like bring me some evidence before I
Mom was
disown
like,
my own daughter. Like,
yeah.
Mom was like, yeah, she's a witch, alright.
Yeah, let's sell her to a family.
Get her out of here.
Let's get her as far away from me as possible. I don't want any more responsibility over this girl. Now then there's that scene that he coughed up the apple.
Mm-hmm.
So that obviously means that
He was witched.
he was bewitched, yeah, but the witch was nearby to hear that.
Mm.
So that means the hair must have been...
Oh yeah, because in the
Behind
woods
us.
he talks about not having an apple since England.
Yeah, so... She also must have heard him say, we were going to surprise you because if we could find apples out in the woods somewhere and we were down in the valley and, you know, I know you've been upset lately and I know you love apples. We tried to find some. It's obvious that the witch was there to make the apple come out of his mouth like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely was a surprise.
I was expecting something. I thought at very first, when it came out of his mouth, I thought it was a eyeball.
Oh, I
At
thought
very
it was like
first.
an organ. Something like...
You think?
He like... I was like, oh my god, what is that? That was nasty.
I mean, it could have been anything.
Could've
But
been
I legit
anything.
thought it was an eyeball until I saw the stem. I was like, oh, okay.
We're in the clear.
We're in the clear. It's not an eyeball.
Still gross.
And then, you know, the son, you know, ended up passing away. And they buried him. And that was kind of like a heartbreaking scene, too. Because the mom's down in the grave.
Yeah, that was rough seeing her.
Yeah.
And the dad doesn't really, like, know what to do. Because this is the second kid that he lost. He didn't really, but, you know, it was under his watch. And it's kind of, he's watching his wife because he's upset by this whole thing that just happened.
I felt bad for that little boy.
I felt
I
bad.
didn't expect it. I didn't think he was gonna die right there. And then
Yeah,
he did,
I
and I was
know.
like, what?
I felt bad for the dad and the boy. It was like those two got the
Yeah.
worst rap out of the whole movie.
After his Jesus monologue, I thought, well,
Yeah.
this isn't going well.
Yeah. It's like,
True.
oh my god.
And then the dad was like, oh, we're just going to board up everyone. Like,
Yeah.
No one can
Put
be
him right
trusted.
in there. Starts nailing. I was like, that's rough. And then Black Phillip's in there.
Yeah.
She's like, you're leaving me in here with this freaking goat.
Oh, before we get into that part, I want to talk about the blood and the milk, the goat milk. If she was milking the goat and
Yeah.
it was blood. I'm trying to think, like, in her mind,
What she was thinking.
what she was thinking. Because she just thought that, you know, the twins were witches or whatever because of, you know, they're singing the Black Phillip song and they were, you know, pretending to be, well, I guess that's after, but that was, I couldn't imagine sitting there and just all of a sudden blood. I'm surprised that she didn't go running to her dad saying, like, why is there blood in the bucket? Like, what the hell's going on? It seemed like every chance she had to kind of prove that she wasn't a witch, she kind of
Like, did the
ignored.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did feel bad for her too, but obviously she ended up becoming a witch later. But
Do you think the twins actually talked to Black Phillip?
Yeah.
yeah,
I had a, yeah. I think
it seemed
so.
like that they actually were because I mean, at the end we find out, you know, Black Phillip was actually, you know, the devil or whatever. So it was kind of like maybe
Maybe?
twins weren't so crazy. Maybe they were talking to Black Phillip. Kind of seemed weird to me.
And he had bad intentions anyway. When he stabbed the dad with his horn. I was like,
Obviously, that part was coming. Obviously, Black Phillip had to show himself at some point. He couldn't just remain a goat for the family forever. Or certainly not the entire movie. And it was obviously coming that Black Phillip was going to do something to someone. Kind of felt bad that it was the dad that ended up getting killed by him. But I don't know. It was kind of... It also made sense.
It caught me off guard, though.
It definitely did. Like he said,
are you kidding?
It was one of the only jump scares.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this goat is stabbing the dad. We didn't see it. He didn't see it. And that's what brought me to say about the scene, because I don't think I finished that thought. I think I forgot about it. Was that the goat was off screen, and you didn't see it coming, because the dad didn't see it coming, and he just got stabbed out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, you get the director gets one jump scare to really get the audience, and he used it very well.
Exactly.
Like right near like the climax of the movie, it's like, oh, here's the jump scare you've been waiting for.
And then immediately after that, Thomason has her suspicions. Well, she fought off the mom, which was
the mom goes
oh my God.
Full psycho.
That was nuts.
I mean, I understand
because everyone's dead.
From her point of view, because her whole family's basically dead. But also, like, why do you still insist that it was the daughter? Well, like,
why would you want to kill the remaining part of your family too?
I get it. You thought it was her, but like, settle down. The whole movie, I was just like,
sit down and talk about it?
Yeah, like, do you have to kill her? Like, she was just defending herself, so fair enough. But she goes in and talks to Black Phillip. And I thought that scene was very... I thought that he wasn't going to talk. I thought she was just going to leave, and that was going to be the end of it. But then he spoke up. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There was somebody behind the scenes this whole fucking movie, and no wonder the dad died, because he was just there to cause mayhem.
His voice was great, too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I wrote it down or not. I may have. It might be on the other page, but... There was a moment when she was talking to Black Phillip where you see a goat hoof and then you see a human's boot.
Then you go to the boot.
And then it was like...
you hear the clacking of like the buckles.
Exactly. So it was like very cool to see him, not see him, but like kind of see him change from goat to...
And you never see his face. I was like, it was too dark in there. I was trying to get like a good look.
I think you could see like an outline of like his eyebrows or something, but that's it. It still kept his face like very mysterious, and you saw his hand on her neck and stuff.
The creepiest things too.
I thought that was so creepy.
Do you want to live a life of luxury?
I was like, oh.
Do you want to live deliciously or whatever?
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, what?
And
the goat is saying this right now.
So that means you're gonna eat babies? Like,
I don't know if I don't remember exactly what I wrote down, because I kept reading like interesting ones, but they were like a paragraph long, and I wasn't writing the whole paragraph or trying to remember. But back in those times, Black Phillip asked if she wanted the taste of butter.
Oh, yes.
Back in those times, butter was like candy. There was I can't remember exactly what it explained, but butter was somehow like
a luxury.
A very, it was like a luxury, and something, I think it was something about the Catholic Church banning butter. Like from people eating butter for some reason. I forget the reasoning. I'd have to read it again, but it was like something to do with like if you're of the Catholic religion, you didn't eat butter. Kind of like how for Lent you don't eat fish on Fridays, or you only eat fish on Fridays. I mean, it was like you do not eat butter. It's bad. So he's like, do you want the taste of butter? Which is very accurate.
Like, hell yeah, I do.
For the 1600s.
Yeah, I want to taste that butter.
And then there's the scene of her, walking into the woods, accepting, becoming a witch.
The creepy drum circle of the witches.
Just
that was
naked
so
women.
insane. When she was walking up to it, I was like, what the hell?
And then they all floated away, and then all of a sudden she's starting to flow away.
It's kind of like a cool sisterhood, though.
It is,
I was like,
and
nice.
it's kind of a cool scene
Gal
of her like
pals.
embracing it. She kind of is, like I said earlier, similar to Midsummer, of her just following into it. Like the whole movie, you know, in Midsummer, she was tortured the whole movie basically. Then all of a sudden she was like, "Fine, I'll do it." The witch, she was tortured the whole movie, and she's like, "Fine, I'll become a fucking witch."
This is what you want?
This is what you want. This is what I'll do. Here now I am a witch. Now you can say I was one.
Exactly.
I do like back into the scene with Black Phillip when she's like, he says write in the book, and she says like, "Oh, I can't write my name," and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll guide you." Yeah, I'll guide you.
I was like, "Ooh, that's so weird."
Well, and that goes back. He also, so we forgot the scene with the mom having the vision of Caleb and Sam.
Yeah.
And then Caleb asks, "Do you want to sign the book?" She says, "No, Sam is hungry." And then that's when it cuts to the crow just going at her from her breast.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That was another symbol of like the witch too. Like they used crows and ravens as like kind of like Odin, I guess. How crows were like the seeing eyes of Odin everywhere or whatever. That was kind of like the same thing. She would use ravens to do like her spying and stuff. So that was kind of like another symbol of the witch too. It seemed like there was a lot of behind the scenes work going on between the witch and the devil at the same time. It was like
they were kind of working together.
They were working together, obviously, because the witch obeys the devil. But it was like she was trying to get, you know, somebody to join the, you know, sisterhood, and like it's just like no matter what they did, bad shit was gonna happen. There was no way out of this.
They were doomed.
Well, do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, we summed up pretty much the whole movie.
Nothing you wrote down that we missed?
Anything we missed? Anything you want to talk about, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have some fear facts.
Let's go.
So, for the first one, most of this film is shot with natural light. So, obviously, for people who might not know, or you guys probably know, natural light is obviously the sun and outside. They didn't use any artificial lighting, which is in a lot of movies
pretty much impossible to do.
Yeah, exactly. So they'd wait until like a gloomy day, because for my third one, I'll just put it as part of this one, is this movie was shot in 25 days, which is like we said for Annabelle maybe or something. Insidious. It was, I think Insidious was like 3 weeks.
Something silly like that.
Anything less than a month is like insanely hard to do for a movie, especially with like reshoots and
they only had like 3 set pieces, it felt like.
Yeah, the woods, the cabin, and
the barn.
Yeah, so it was like, it makes sense that it only took 25 days, but like that's such a hard accomplishment, and they should be proud of being able to do it in such a short time
and in $4 million budget.
Exactly, yeah. And they doubled it or tripled it or something.
Oh no, they got like 88 million.
Oh
Never mind, I was way off. I think I was thinking of a different movie, but like it was very good for 25 days of shooting. I mean, obviously editing took a lot longer, but like to shoot that in 25 days. Yeah. No wonder that the woman who played the witch, was fucked up after that baby scene. Yeah. She probably had to do that like 50 times in one day. But like, no, that's totally an accomplishment. You brought this up in the last one. The witch, the VVitch.
Yeah.
W wasn't in common use in the 1600s. The letter W existed, but they barely used it. So what they would use is 2 V's to symbolize a W.
That checks out, because I was like, why the hell is
so
it 2
yes,
V's?
It is the VVitch, as in, because we use W's all the time now, but when they spelled it, it was 2 V's instead, and they would pronounce it as a W.
They went full blown, like this is going to be...
Yeah,
they did their research.
Well, that little snippet at the end, at the movie, they explain, I don't know if you read that. Oh, it explains, like, we took passages from court documents and historical references and used the dialogue that they used for this movie.
Right, I forgot about that, yeah. Now that, yeah, I think I actually wrote that down. Oh yeah, film's dialogue and story were based on the writings. And this was just before the Salem witch trials too, so they had like a lot to go off of. Because there was a very big, obviously the witch trials, very big historical thing happened right after this movie would have, you know, been a thing. The hares, so the hare that we see in the movie, were believed to spoil or steal milk, goat milk, and they were also used as spies or like vessels for the witch. She would turn into a hare and spy on people that she wanted to kidnap or whatever. So there was, like I said earlier, a very big emphasis on the rabbit because the whole time it was the witch. So premise is based on America's first witch hysteria and it lasted 62 years.
That's insane.
62 years of people thinking that witches, I mean, who knows, they might be, you could probably, I don't know, maybe they are real, but like,
I don't doubt that shit,
but 62 years
for that 62-year time period, and anything you fucking do, they're like, witch, and you're done.
That's it. They didn't need
toast.
They didn't need proof or anything. It's like no
I wouldn't
trial.
be allowed to talk or move.
Yeah.
I would just have to sit here.
Exactly.
Just say I float.
You said earlier, Anya's first movie, but it was also, Anya was actually the first audition tape the director saw. So it was,
Oh, really?
he watched, I assume he watched a bunch of, you know, people auditioning, but like that was she was the very first audition. I'm kind of glad he picked her because she did a very, very good job in this movie. She was excellent.
Yeah, she was great.
I mean, in Peaky Blinders, she was excellent too. She played that character really well. She was such a bitch. But she's a very, very good actress.
And she's starting to blow up. Yeah, she was in Split too, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was the main
she had
chick.
dark hair in that.
She was also obviously in Glass too, but like her big thing was Split. Yeah. This is her debut in a, you know, creditable role. I think she was in smaller things, but she was like kind of like not so much an extra, but like
Just wasn't huge.
She wasn't like the main character.
Law & Order SVU episode.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So she was like in the episode, but like it was more of like a paycheck kind of thing. This was her first, you know, real main character stuff, movie, whatever. Stephen King said that he was terrified of this movie.
Damn.
That's gotta take a lot.
The King of Horror said that he was actually scared of this movie.
I mean, when the first 15 minutes when you see a witch eat a baby, like that's
that's gonna stick with you. And the last two we touched on already. Witches couldn't finish the Lord's Prayer. I did end up writing it down. So if they would start it and they couldn't finish it, they were a witch. Is kind of how they thought
that was their test.
Yeah, exactly. And then getting Caleb into the hut was a mirror of The Shining, to be an attractive woman to lure in, and then all of a sudden she's not so attractive anymore. Turns into the witch.
Yeah, that hand just bam.
Yeah.
So we do this every time with our guests. We have a little quiz for you about the movie.
Shit. I forgot about that.
I couldn't find an extensive one, kind of like Friday the 13th. I had like 30 questions for Jeff. I have 6 for you because there wasn't. I tried. Do you remember the baby's name?
Sam.
Yes.
Good job.
What does okay. Let me
Try
rephrase
again.
that. What did Thomason steal? What was she accused of stealing in the movie?
The silver cup.
Yep. What's the goat's name?
Black Phillip.
Yep. These are we all talked about these. What comes out instead of the milk?
Blood.
We talked about all these.
I know. What does Caleb cough up?
The rotten apple.
And who is the very last person to die in the movie?
The mom.
Yes. 100%. Look at
Good
that,
job.
Evan.
And then even the twins' name, because Mercy was the one twin's name. I
Yeah.
was like, who names their child Mercy?
I actually kind of liked it. I was like, oh, that's
Fair
kind
enough.
of cute. Mercy.
All right.
I feel like it's like you're like begging for mercy.
Yeah, it is kind of odd, but I was like, okay.
Not as odd as Thomason.
That was weirder. Yeah,
that was kind of weird. I didn't really understand it until you put it in that light of she probably wanted a boy.
I didn't think about it either. I was like, that's an interesting name.
I was gonna do research on that name to see if that was a name back then. But
I was like, they wanted it to be Thomas, but.
Oh, we had a girl.
Oopsie.
Well, sis, what would you rate this movie?
7.5.
I gave it an 8.
I was gonna go 8 too. This
was a lot better than I thought it would have been. That I necessarily thought it was going to be a bad movie, but it, like she said, it seemed like whenever you don't kind of understand what they're saying, it's kind of hard to get in the movie. But it was like you can kind of pick it up after a minute, even if you didn't know what the hell they were saying.
It helps the second go around. If you can muster through it, because then you like kind of know what the scene's already going to happen. Then you're like,
so you can pay attention.
I can actually like kind of understand where you're going with this dialogue.
And like I said, I like the directing style. I like how it was written to.
That was his directing debut as well.
I heard.
I forget the guy's name, but I remember reading that was also his first movie. So it was just pretty cool. First for everyone, and they.
He did excellent with he had very good wide shots, like the cabin's down in the bottom corner and it's very small and you see the whole woods and it's very dark, and there was he focused on the correct areas, and the writing was excellent and the suspense was well drawn out. Like I feel like that they did a lot better for, like you said, a debut director and a small 4 million. You said the budget was 4 million?
Yeah.
That's pretty small of a budget.
Peanuts on most
exactly. Like
Hollywood productions.
Endgame was like 400 million or something. And then there's this insane. $4 million movie that was...
Well, what did I see? Avatar needed to be the third grossing movie of all time just to make a profit.
And I think they got second, so that's good. But it was just insane how well they did with this movie. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. This has nothing to do with the movie, but when we went to Salem, we saw the area...
Technically has something to do with the movie.
Kinda. When we went to Salem, we saw where they would hang the witches. Like, it's just like this little fucking memorial off some random street. And they're like, yeah, this is where we did it. And, like, I was there, just standing there.
Was the gallows still there? Like the big contraption where they...
No.
It's probably they didn't have a fake one that you could, like, walk up and, like...
Yeah, no, that wasn't there. It was just, like, cement. And it had all the names of the women that were hung. It was fucking sad. Like, I was like, oh my god.
And to think that most of those women probably weren't even witches.
Yeah.
They were just thought of because one of the things, if a woman could do math, they were thought to be a witch.
I'm safe.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm fucking safe.
But, like, women could do, like, things that you do today would instantly blow their minds and think that you were a witch because you could, I don't know, tie your shoes or something. Like something so stupid as...
You could write.
You can write.
That's insane.
You're a witch.
Yeah.
She couldn't spell her name.
There were so many names. It was just kind of like, it was cool to see, but it was really fucking sad.
Yeah,
like, I felt really bad. There's a lot of names. I was there. I was like, oh my god. Okay, we gotta go. I'm gonna throw up.
Well, you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I enjoyed the movie.
Very good movie. Good pick.
Yeah, good pick. Disturbing, for sure.
As like a thank you for coming on as a guest, we'll let you pick not next week's movie, the week after. What movie do you think we should do? Anything you want.
Make it good.
This is too much pressure. Let the Right One In. Swedish film.
Okay.
About vampires.
Next week Sweeney Todd. And then the one after that we'll do Let the Right One In. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
And it's, in my opinion, the most accurate portrayal of vampires.
Oh, nice.
Pretty excited to see it then. How about
I want to suck your blood.
How about you read next week's question, the bottom one there, to kind of sign us out?
This Twilight Zone-esque Netflix series taps into our collective unease with our modern world and the dangers of advanced technology.
Okay, nobody Google it. We'll look at it. I'm not gonna say it on the podcast. We have to wait, sis. Don't be Googling it.
Don't you
try to answer it honestly. Know your answer. You have any last remarks, Evan?
No, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for coming.
And we have one more guest lined up, and then maybe we'll kind of figure out from there what we want to do, because we'll probably start asking people like, hey, who wants to be a guest on our podcast next, kind of thing. So
get your bet on.
Hell yeah.
This was episode 25.
We did it.
We got to 25. So thanks for everyone for listening and keeping this going.
You know, it's funnier than 24.
25.
25.
So you have anything you want to say?
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks
it was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for the good movie as well.
Thanks for the disturbing fucking movie.
That's why I picked it.
So we'll catch you next week with Sweeney Todd.
Catch you later.
See ya.